Well, thank you so much. And I have to tell you, Stacy, that my mom just loved you and your siblings and your mom. It was about 2 years before she passed that I don't remember if it was you that reached out to me or how I figured it out, but I think it was you that said that you knew my mom.
Yeah, I think I reached out to you one day to ask you if you were kin to her.
Yeah. And so get this. So I called her that night, right? Now this is, I mean, her memory was good, even though her siblings all had Alzheimer's before they passed very badly, and my grandma, right? But she had her mind all the way to the end. But that was probably one of the, because in those last 2 years, she was very, like sick a lot, and she would lay in her bed a lot, and she just didn't have a lot of enthusiasm. And that day that you had mentioned that, I called her up that night and I said, Mom, you're not going to believe this. I'm a member of this forum, and this gal says she knows you. Her name is Stacy. And before I could even get your last name out, she's like, Owen. And I said, yeah. I said, how do you know her? And she's like, yeah, and she started telling me. And she's like, that cake that I used to make you guys, that came from your mom. She taught my mom how to make it, and that started, getting made in my house. And I don't know if she shared it with her sisters, but I'd be willing to bet you there's a handful of cousins running around eating that recipe in Plainview.
I love it.
Yeah. So what do you remember? I mean, because I don't even remember. I'm thinking that must have been when we lived behind Gibson's, it's like, I would think that might have been the era, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely, because we lived on 4th Street, right across the street from the country club.
Yeah. Oh, now get this. So the next time I come down to Plainview, now I had asked her, mind you, many times, Mom, I want some pictures, from when we were kids and, things from earlier, right? Oh, yeah, I'll get it, sometime, mijo, and so I come down, and lo and behold, she pulls out a picture of you, and I'm like, that's how my mom would do us sometimes. She was a character, but yeah, she really loved you. She really loved your mom and your siblings. And I'm just kind of trying to figure out, I'm trying to place, I mean, you had to have already been a teenager, then, right?
No, I was not. I was a young girl. I was very young. Because I graduated in 81.
Okay.
So that would have been probably 68, 70 maybe.
Okay, so I wasn't even born yet, I don't think.
Yeah, and I was just a little girl. I was probably 5.
I didn't realize you were that much older than me. I mean, I thought, because I was born in 71, so, I mean, we lived behind Gibson's like when I was in like 2nd grade or something, so 6, 7 years old. So I'm assuming it was probably when we were back at the Centrals or something.
Yeah, prior to that, because, I was a little kid. I don't think she had you.
Right. That's what I'm betting. That's what I'm betting. Yeah. Well, that is so cool. Stacy, I want to talk to you about this book that you co-wrote. Right?
Yes, sir.
Give me the backstory on how this book came to be.
I'm real funny about Facebook, right? I'm pretty careful what I put out there. And I don't get into much of the banter, right, back and forth on Facebook. I just go look at my grandbabies and enjoy my friends and watch their kids grow up. And I got a random message from a lady one day, and she said, please don't let this sound creepy, but I have totally been scoping you out on Facebook, and I would like to have a conversation with you about writing a story for a book that I'm publishing. Well, I was intrigued. I've been thinking for a little while about just writing a story, kind of writing a book. And so I got intrigued, and I called her, and she told me about the book, and she said there are 16 women all together in this book, and what I want is a story from you about the day you realized there was something more, about the day you let go of the restraints of society and you became who you are. I want a story about that. And I thought, okay. So I prayed about it a lot, and I thought about it a lot, and I, talked to the people of my tribe about it a lot, and I decided to go for it, and I did. I wrote the story, and we published the book, and we sold #1 bestseller in 8 countries in 24 hours.
Wow.
So it was a beautiful experience. Got to meet some really incredible women from all over the world. They came from Germany and Finland and Australia and all over the United States and Mexico, and it was just a beautiful experience to get to engage with all those women from all over the world.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I haven't read the book. You know, I've been waiting for it to come out in audio, you know, and I kept waiting, and I didn't see it coming out in audio, so I said, well, maybe it's just time to just do an interview, you know, and let you talk about it, you know.
Well, there you go. I love it. I don't know how long it'll be before it's out on audio.
Yeah.
We talked about whether or not we're going to have each one of us narrate our own chapter to turn it into an audio book. So it'll be interesting to see. Actually, May the 17th and 18th, we're going to have a forum on Facebook, and we're actually going to read our chapters out loud.
Cool.
We're going to give you an opportunity to sit and have a storytelling. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You know, and that, you know, you can record that and get the audio from that maybe, you know. It's
so interesting to see how it unfolds and who responds and who's read it and their response to it. You know, everybody's got their own journey. We all get to this place that we are in our lives, Adam, but we all take a journey to get there.
Right.
And that's what's cool is everybody takes a different journey.
Well, let's back up here for a minute. When you were in Plainview, what year did you graduate?
I graduated in 81.
Oh, 81. Oh, 81. Yeah, yeah. So from that point to getting to that book, where have you been? Because I know that you weren't in Plainview for a long time there.
I've not been in Plainview for a while. I graduated, like I said, in May of 81, started college right away. Actually, I got out of high school in December and started college in January and then came back to graduation in May. I had an opportunity to go, a lady that I had taken dancing from, let me back up. My mother was the dance teacher in Plainview. She ran Pat Owen School of Dance.
Okay. So I danced from yeah.
Yeah, so that's her. So
I did not realize that.
Yes, that's my mom.
Okay.
So I danced from the time I was 2 years old. That's just what I did. Right? It was my thing.
Yeah.
And that's what I danced my whole life. And when I graduated from high school, I went to, I'd gone for about 10 years in a row to a place, a little town in Oklahoma, and taken dancing from a lady, taken ballet from a lady. And she became the head of the dance department at Oklahoma City University. And so I auditioned over Thanksgiving and got a scholarship and started in January. And off to school I went to be part of the American Spirit Dancers. I danced professionally for about 5 years.
Wow.
With the American Spirit Dancers through Oklahoma City University, and had a beautiful experience. I got to meet really cool people, John Travolta and Harry James and Pearl Bailey and James Garner. We met the most wonderful people, and we got to perform all over the place. Yeah, it was wonderful. And then
what was James Garner doing at that time? Because that was a big, I was a big James Garner fan, a Rockford File fan.
Absolutely, he came and performed at the Oklahoma City's 100th year celebration, their 100th jubilee.
Wow.
And Pearl Bailey, Dinah Shore, James, they were all there the same night.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
All performing and speaking. And, yeah, we got to hang out with some of the stars and have a wonderful time. Had a beautiful experience. And then I met this wonderful man, and he was a bull rider, and I was a ballerina, and we couldn't have been any more opposites when we met. And had 38 wonderful years together.
Mm-hmm.
Got 3 beautiful children and 6 beautiful grandbabies and 1 on the way. So, yeah, life is grand. We spent 25 years in Albuquerque. I taught dancing the whole time.
Oh, my,
I just kept on dancing. I ran Applause School of Dance for 30 years after I graduated from high school. Ran a scholarship program through there called Berlin USA Down Under, and we took a bunch of kids to Australia, brought back the gold medal for the United States.
Oh, cool.
So we had some wonderful, wonderful times. And then I had an addicted teenager, and I didn't understand. I didn't understand that path, and I didn't understand that world. So my youngest was graduating from high school, and it was that time in our life. So I closed my studio and went to work for the state of New Mexico, and as a family services specialist, opened a nonprofit called TOSS, to Strength and Support, and spent about 12 years working with families through the process of addiction and recovery. It's a beautiful experience. The recovery is a gorgeous thing on the other side, but there are lots of people out there that need help. So I spent 12 years in the mental health, behavioral health field, and I retired from that so my husband and I could trade the first half for the second half, moved back to Texas, ranch some cattle, and raised grandbabies, and I went to work for the John Maxwell team as a internationally certified public speaker, coach, and trainer.
Wow.
Just growing the kingdom, yeah. And I've been doing that now for about 4 years, 5 years now. I love it. I do a lot of work with businesses and companies, individuals. I'm a personal development trainer. So my goal is to help you understand that you have a story to write. One day the grand overall designer looked down and decided the world needed one of you, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we do a lot of character and integrity and making sure that you're the best possible you that you can be, so you can be a great husband or wife or business owner or boss, and move yourself forward. That's the story you leave behind, right? That's your legacy.
Absolutely. So is that kind of what this, your part in this book, is that your message kind of, do you feel?
My chapter in the book is called Underneath the Music. Okay? And so it really goes back, it's all about being trained as a dancer, believe it or not. Underneath the music. My mother was a beautiful tap teacher, and I was a tap dancer at heart. That was my thing. And she told us many years ago, she said, if you're going to be a great tap dancer, you can't dance to the music because the music changes. You have to dance underneath. There's one guy that has one sound, and he keeps everybody else on task, and that's your dance partner. Wow. And so as I got through this place in my life, I had this chaotic thing going on with my oldest child. I had 2 other young kids I was trying to raise. I was running the business. We were riding bulls with my son in the rodeo, and things were crazy, and life was beautiful, and I was the only one not present in it. I just, I filled everybody else's shoes, and I put on their costume, and I played the game, and I lost me in it, Adam, all of it. And so my story is really about how I went back to dance class to find my one true sound underneath so I could find me again.
Absolutely.
And write my story. So that's what my story's about, and that's really the program that I teach. One of the programs I teach is called Underneath the Music, and we take some time to sort of back up and find out what's your one thing, where's your sound. So that's what I do.
Hey guys, can you do me a favor? If you like this content and resonate with this channel, hit that like and subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you could be alerted when I upload new videos. I'm a big fan of what you talk about, self-improvement, and I just, what do they call these things? They call it I went down a rabbit trail, okay? Or maybe they call it a rabbit hole, I think is what the kids call it.
Down a rabbit hole.
Yeah. And I went and listened to a whole bunch of your podcasts, right? What I like about them is they're, average, I think I figured out the average is 15 to 20 minutes, right? They're short, but they're packed full of, lots of good stuff, and you're not, there's not a lot of empty space there. I don't find, I feel like, I resonated with it, I think, just maybe because it's just, I feel like it's just raw, it's just right there, here it is, and it's not a lot of fluff, it's just less is more, I feel like, and I've been listening to these things, and I just wrote down a few things here. Some of the topics, okay, staying positive, integrity, wisdom, vision, choice, gratitude, truth, legacy, heritage, all these kind of themes are being a good person, talking about honor, and these are things that you will hear on your podcast, and I feel like, I don't know, I'm just one of these people that, I love talk radio, so I gravitated towards, as soon as I knew that you were doing that, I did listen to a couple back then. And then, when you had FORRIE Smith on, and I've got to talk to you about this, I'm like, okay, what's this girl doing? I got to go over there and take a look, right? And I go over there, and I'm looking at all your podcasts, and I'm thinking, my goodness, I got a long way to go. But I have to talk to you about FORRIE Smith, and first of all, going back to, okay, so you got this book done. How did you get into this podcasting thing? Because I know your daughter is a big part of it, right?
She is. She's my co-host.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, she co-hosts with me. A beautiful experience as a parent to share her wisdom.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful thing. She's an old soul girl. It's neat. It's so much fun with her. But back in 2019, I was working with the John Maxwell team. In the month of April and the month of October, within the John Maxwell team is what we call the Global Youth Initiative. So all of the services that we do anything geared toward the youth, anything toward building their character and integrity, building their personal strength, making them believe they have this amazing thing to do in their life. It's all free the month of October and the month of April. Our goal within the John Maxwell team is to reach 1 million kids in that 30 days worldwide, because the John Maxwell team reaches out to 136 other countries. So we're everywhere. Right? We're all over the world doing leadership and doing amazing. And I was doing a presentation in the little town that we lived in New Mexico, and I kind of put a word out on Facebook and said, hey, anybody in the 505 from the John Maxwell team that'd like to join me, I'm having an event. And a gentleman showed up that came in. His name is Boyd Hamlin. We got to be wonderful friends. And Boyd wrote a program called the Hero Builder. And the Hero Builder is a character and integrity growth program for children, starting from age 3, preschool, all the way through graduation. It is a phenomenal program on just developing amazing human beings with hearts of service and just good people, right? And so they'd used it, and with the soccer team at the University of Arizona, they had taken it, turned it into the athlete of significance. They were really pumping the athletes for it. And the gentleman that was the coach of the soccer college in Abilene, or the college in Arizona, called and said, you guys got to turn this into a podcast. Because we can preach this all day long, but if they're not seeing it, and we're not modeling it, and the people that are teaching these kids aren't living it, we're wasting our time.
Yeah.
So let's turn it on the adult side. So we took his Hero Builder program for children, and we flipped it to the adult side, and we began it as a challenge to adults to model these words of character and integrity. And since then, we've come in, now we have 2 different podcasts. On Wednesdays, we produce a show called Midweek Mind Candy.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen that, and I was going to ask you, I think you're involved in 2 podcasts.
We are. So the Midweek Mind Candy episodes, it takes a word, that is an individual word, that is an attribute of character and integrity, and we banter that word with 3-way conversation, really deep dive into what that word means and how you model it, how do you live it, how does it become part of your legacy. We have some beautiful conversations. We don't ever tell them what word we're going to use. We send the people that are going to do the show with us, we send them a list of 5 words the night before, that the 5 words that are on the table. And then when we introduce them and bring them into the show, we tell them what word we're going to do that day. So we get a very candid conversation.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing canned about it. We have some beautiful stories, too. And then the Uncaped Heroes that we do, those come out on Mondays and Fridays, and we interview people from all over the world. We've talked to people from every corner of the world because, like we talked about in the beginning, Adam, everyone has a journey.
Yeah, and I did notice that there was a lot of diversity with your guests, just lots of different types of people.
They do all kinds of things, right? And it's proof that there's room for your idea. The world is big enough. There's space somewhere being provided for you to just come over here and get better from that, to excel in it, to learn from it, to move forward. All over the world, there's somebody that's got space for you with what they're doing, and they're growing the kingdom, and they're serving mankind in the most beautiful ways. And, you don't have to have a thing. You don't have to have a program. You don't have to be a coach. You don't have to be a thing to be on a podcast, because no matter what you are, just like you, Adam, wherever you are in your life, you've taken a journey to get there. And so we introduce you. We tell you, who are you? What do you do? Why do you do that? How can we connect with what you do? And then we take a dive into your journey. We want to know how you define the word hero, who fits into that for you in your life, what's a life lesson that you've learned along the way you'd like to share with the rest of the world. And then we give you a moment to stand on the pedestal and recognize that you're probably more people's hero in a day than you think. We let you own that for just a minute and sit with your heroism, and then we ask you, what does your T-shirt say? What is your one-line statement of wisdom to the world? And I have to tell you, Adam, I've asked that question 200 times, and I have 200 completely different.
Yeah, I did notice that too. I was listening to that the different guests and that aspect of, that one-liner, and that is so cool what you get, And I always feel like you can learn from anybody. They don't have to be a guru. You can learn from just about anybody something, and it's just a beautiful podcast. It's a beautiful concept. I love it. Hopefully listening to this kind of stuff, like first thing in the morning, you get up, and you're getting ready for work, whatever, just take that 20 minutes to listen to something positive, and get that in your spirit, get that in your mind, that positive mindset right away from the beginning of the day. And hopefully carry that through the day, that energy, because there's a lot of negativity, you know, and people are going to work, and there's all these energies coming at you all day long, and it's just like trying to stay positive and being good to each other, all these kind of things that you guys talk about. I love what you're doing over there. Now, tell me something. So you had FORRIE Smith, and I heard you talking about you basically know him. So how did this all happen, from the rodeo stuff?
Absolutely. You know, like I said, we raised our kids in New Mexico, and my son was a bull rider. He played football for years, and one day came home and said, "So can I ride bulls?" You know, I told his dad, I said, "You teach him now," because his dad rode bulls, and, you know, never hung his pictures, never promoted, because it's a rough life.
Yeah,
he wanted to do it, so he quit team roping, and they started riding bulls. And FORRIE Smith is a wonderful human being. He is a kind, generous, gracious man. And on the rodeo circuit, and he lived right there where we rodeoed all the time. And he spent many an afternoon sitting on the tailgate of my pickup, engaging with my family and myself and my children and encouraging my son. And FORRIE was always around. He's such a wonderful man, such a great guy.
Yeah.
So when we started doing this, Kathy and I started talking about it. We're like, let's get FORRIE. Everybody will love it if he's on here.
Yeah. You're so much more humble than me, Stacy. I would have been putting selfies of me and him everywhere, and, you know, I would have. But I follow him on social media. He is a really cool person. I like what he stands for. He doesn't hold back. He's just very honorable. You know, he's the kind of guy that, you know, you wish you had for your neighbor, you know, because you know that he's a good person, you know. And but I had to feel for you when you were talking about, you know, that you appreciated him being understanding of you being a parent of a rodeo rider and a you know, a mate of one. I mean, I dated a barrel racer for a while, and that is a rough gig. Any of that stuff is rough, you know, like just the whole life, you know. And up north, you got the snow, so you're out, you know, bringing hay down for the horses in negative 30 degrees, you know. And,
you can, but you know, it is a rough life, and it's not a matter of if you get hurt, it's just when. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's right. I remember Donnie Gay used to always say that in them PBR shows. He's like, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
When and how bad and how quick you recover. That's exactly right. But you know what? It's still one of the only places where you can go to the rodeo. You can leave your truck unlocked. You don't have to worry about your children. It's safe. It's a world. It's an environment. It's a way of life more than it's a thing that you do. Mm-hmm. Right? People come to the rodeo to watch it because they enjoy it and they enjoy the atmosphere. But to be on the other side of that chute, to be on the other side of that fence,
yeah,
you know, I had a whole different relationship, right? We were gone every weekend, and so we'd always brought our kids up going to church, and we couldn't do that anymore. We were gone every weekend, and so we were at a rodeo on an Indian reservation in Bread Springs, New Mexico, and we watched a young man get killed that day.
Oh, my God.
Got kicked in the back of the head.
Oh, my God.
And when you're out there on the reservation, and you're on a Sunday afternoon, ambulance drivers are not real fond of volunteering their time.
Oh, wow.
At places like that, right? Out on the res in the middle of nowhere. All day on a Saturday and Sunday. And so there was no ambulance for him. We had to call an ambulance, and then it took him a long time to get there.
Oh, my God, yeah.
And we were driving home that day, and my husband said, okay, so how do we never watch that again? Right? How do we fix that? And so we came home and did some research, joined the Fellowship of Christian Cowboys, because through the Fellowship of Christian Cowboys, we could fundraise through the FCC, and then we could pay for that ambulance to be there. And we didn't have to watch that happen again. We made sure there was medical personnel available at those rodeos. And so I had cowboy church in my living room on Tuesday nights, because none of the kids, they were all gone on the weekends. We hauled them all weekend. We had 6 boys. They all homeschooled during high school, so they could all rodeo, and we homeschooled them during the weekend. Then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, my husband and I traveled with them. And so, you know, we just had church in our living room. We participated in the Fellowship of Christian Cowboys. We did amazing things together as a family in it, and we've had a beautiful life. I can't complain. I feel like I've been blessed beyond measure. No injuries for your husband or your kids in the rodeo business?
My son was in the emergency room like 27 times. We broke ribs and we broke ankles and hurt shoulders and, had shoulder surgery and we walked the path. But the joy and the thrill and the achievement and the success that he felt about himself as a human being far outweighed the ER visit.
Right.
Absolutely. And turned out to be an amazing human being, right? My son spent about 5 years, working with one-on-one services with children with autism.
Oh, cool. Cool.
So, I turned out to have really 3 great kids. My oldest daughter, like I said, is my co-host. My son is a great man. He's a great father. He's just a good human being. My youngest is a nurse, and she's married to a fireman, so I feel like I'm just surrounded by little heroes every day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely blessed, yeah.
I love that idea, too, of, the uncaped heroes, too, because I've always felt like, and especially after my mom went through cancer, right, the people that were taking care of her, the nurses, the doctors, all them people, I just always have felt, too, I love, football and all that, but honestly, the heroes are really these people that are in our lives and hopefully make a difference. And so who are some of them people for you, Stacy, growing up in Plainview? Because I'm sure, a lot of people will talk about a teacher or somebody, and I know your mom was like probably the most influential person in your life, but who else would that have been maybe in Plainview?
There were so many people. Adam, one of the things we've learned through this podcast is, we have this concept in society. I think when you hear the word hero, we think about all the Marvel comic guys and Captain America and Batman and Superman, and that a hero has to be some big, bold, big-named, wealthy corner office kind of survivor that swoops in at the end of the day and saves the world. And what we've learned is that most people's heroes are their mom, their dad, their grandmother, their third-grade Sunday school teacher, someone that came alongside them in their life and taught them something that lasted forever, that changed the course of things for them, lifted them up when they needed it the most, right? Believed in their dream. And so there are so many. I had a tap teacher from Little Rock, Arkansas that taught me when I was 8 years old. He said, "You're never going to understand this for a long time, but there are no such things as problems in life, only challenges and opportunities to grow." 8 years old, I didn't have a clue what he was talking about. But by the time I was 25, I had a very different concept of what that meant. And so, I think he'll always be a part of it. My grandmother was a hero for me. She worked at the hospital all night long and took care of my granddad. And they ran my grandparents ran the grocery store across the street from the Coronado.
Yeah, that's right, yep.
Right. So when it was Plainview High School back in the 50s, in the 40s, my parents were born back in the 30s, and so it was back then, when they lived in Plainview and ran the grocery store, Coronado was the high school.
That's right.
And my grandparents fed high school kids and junior high kids until they closed Coronado.
Yeah.
She was there. She was there a long time. So my grandmother will always be a hero to me in my life. My Ms. Barnett, my 8th grade earth science teacher, probably taught me more about science in 1 year than I ever learned. And we thought she was just the meanest lady ever, and I learned so much from her. Right? Miss Upchurch, my 5th grade teacher at College Hill, Charles C. Dixon. Charles C. Dixon was my home and family teacher in high school, and she made so much sense to me about what it was going to be like to be a grown-up. And when you're 18, you don't think about being a grown-up, and today I think about things that she taught us in that class. And she was just I see her today. I talked to her on Facebook and to watch her grow, and it was amazing. So I think I had a lot of people growing up in Plainview, Texas that mattered to me. Right? Ricky Sizemore, the Snap-on Tools guy, the little gentleman that always ran the New Grill. Right? My dad, and then it became the Broadway Brew. My dad used to go to coffee there every day. So there's so much of my life in Plainview. And I'm so blessed because I still have this wonderful group of friends. I graduated from high school with some that still live in Plainview, some that have come home to Plainview recently to take care of their parents. And I've been friends since grade school. Some of us 50 or 55 years we've been friends. So,
wow.
Plainview taught me a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's those hometown values, and it's a lot of that stuff that
that I hope we can continue to see and we start seeing again. And what else is going on with you? So you say you're going to do this event. Plug that. Where is this going to be? How do people find this?
We're just learning about it. So the best I can do is keep you posted and make sure it's on my Facebook. I just actually got the invite today. The lady that published the book called and said, hey, I want to have a storytelling. I want to set us up on the 17th and 18th to take turns and let's read our stories and let's get our stories out there. And I said, I'm in. I'll take Wednesday the 18th. So all I know is that it'll be sometime Wednesday the 18th. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, let me just look. I think she said about 5:30 Eastern time. So let me look.
Now, this is going to be an online event?
7 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. So in Texas Central Time, it's going to make it 6 to 7:30 on the 17th and 18th of May. And it is going to be it's just going to be a storytelling. We're going to take turns reading our stories from all over the world.
So it's going to be like an online event then, right?
Yes,
okay.
It absolutely will be an online event.
Okay,
it'll be on my Facebook. The advertising will start to come out as soon as they get it set. But yes, it will be a live online event. I will probably
must be like a Zoom thing or something like that, right? Because that'd be a good way to get like that many people. Because how many authors are you with? It's quite a few, isn't it?
There's 16 of us.
Okay.
There's 16 women that wrote that book, and then then I got intrigued. Right, the book thing was fun, and as we've done this podcast, we've gotten so many amazing bits of information from people, gold advice. I mean, these T-shirt statements that they put out, right? They're phenomenal. There's no way that you couldn't have one of these statements on a whole closet full of shirts and get dressed in the morning and come outside and just go, yes, I got the world today. This is my power. And how do you not share that? I mean, I love it that we've got 5,000 listeners. I love it that the podcast is getting out there, but I want it to get out there bigger. So we are in the process, and hopefully maybe June 1, we'll see. We have a new book coming out, actually my daughter and I, and this gentleman we started this podcast with called If My T-Shirt Could Talk, and we're actually going to share some of the wisdom from this podcast. It's just cool not to share. So we got 50 stories to start out with going in the book, and it's just really, we're just talking about what would your T-shirt say. So
wow,
lots of powerful T-shirt statements. So I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, If My T-Shirt Could Talk, coming soon.
Hey guys, can you do me a favor? If you like this content and resonate with this channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Hit that notification bell so you could be alerted when I upload new videos. I do love what you're doing over there on that podcast, and I recommend that everybody go over there and listen, download. I just went on and downloaded a whole bunch of them, and then I put it all on my phone and just listen to that stuff during the day. Very rarely will I listen to the radio or anything like that. I'm usually listening to podcasts, self-help, lectures from brain surgeons. I'm always trying to increase my mind power, and I'm a firm believer in what you put in is what comes out. So garbage in, garbage out.
Amen.
And I love what you do in your podcast because it's all positive.
Thank you. Thank you. It's the law of polarity, Adam, for as much negative as it can be on this side. In equal measure, it's good on this side. It just really depends on which side you choose to see.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because you can look at the world. I mean, we can turn on the TV, we can turn on the radio, we can turn on social media and be inundated with all of the negativity, all the ways we're failing, all the ways we're not measuring up, all the way we're not meeting the mark. And so how do you not stay in that funk in your mind about, man, I'm never going to get to the top, I'm never going to make it, I'm never going to get my thing, because society wants you to believe that it's not really going to happen. It's just a vision out there, and that's so not true. Underneath all that negativity is this amazing layer of light and these beautiful people that are going, that's not true. Come over here. You can get better from that over here. Mm-hmm. I got you over here. I understand that. We got space for you here. And so it's there. And if you don't bring out the light, all you see is the dark. Right? I saw a thing today that said, what does it take for a star to shine its brightest? Absolute darkness.
Yeah, right.
Right. And so here we are. We're working in this world that they want you to believe is cold and scary and dark and headed down, and it's not true. This power underneath will keep us lifted up. We just got to shine the light.
Mm-hmm. And be good to one another. That's what I like when you asked FORRIE about, his one-liner. I think that's what it was something like that. I can't remember. I mean, it might have been something else, but do you remember?
Just be kind.
Yeah,
just be kind.
Yeah, just be kind. And you talked a lot about, there's a lot of craziness going on, but we should be able to get along together and realize too that, the powers that be don't want us to be together. They want us separated. They want us to feel like we're at odds with each other, and so where can people find you? Give us your different info.
My thing. Okay, so I am an old school notebook and pen kind of girl. Still, the whole technology thing is still a little bit creepy for me. And so I have an email address. You can reach me at Enlighten Up, and that's the name of my business. So it's enlightenup.stacyj, and Stacy is Stacy, no E. So enlightenup.stacyj@gmail.com. You can always reach me there. I'm Stacy Owen Johnston on Facebook. I grew up Stacy Owen, so I'm going to hold on to that. And Johnston's been mine for 38 years, so I love that. So I am Stacy Owen Johnston. Please always reach out to me on Facebook. Our podcast is available on 7 different networks. We're available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Apple Store, anchors who host us. I believe there's one called Robin and another one called Caller, and we are working right now trying to get on iHeartRadio.
Cool.
So, we're out there. Please find us. We're Uncaped Heroes and Midweek Mind Candy. If you want to talk to us, if you want to come be on our show, everyone is welcome.
I have one more question to ask you, and this is a little bit out there, okay? And I don't know if I'll put this in, but I just want to get your take on this, because after hearing you talk about that you were in mental health, right? Social services kind of stuff, right?
Yes, sir.
We have something going on here. I'm up here in Missouri right now, but I've heard this is going on all over the place, where you'll drive up to a drive-through and there'll be signs on the windows, be sure to thank the employee that came in because no one wanted to work today, and it's becoming an epidemic where it's almost like I travel all over, like I work all over the place, utilities, so I'm in different towns. I'll go to another town and, the lobby will be, the dine-in is closed, but the drive-through is open, but, and because only 2 people came in, And so I guess what I was getting at was how much of this, because I know some of it, people talk about that mental health is stopping people from wanting to work and stuff like that, but how much of this do you think is stinking thinking versus an actual disease that somebody really has, like a mental disease? Like how much of this is just, what do you feel?
Adam, there are people who suffer from anxiety, who suffer from depression, have a difficult time managing an 8-hour day, a job in a restaurant where they're confronted with people all the time. There is a population that really struggles with that, okay? But I personally, and this is only Stacy's take on Life 101, right? That's all it is. I feel like the benefits that were paid out, you make more money staying home, gas is too expensive, you got unemployment, it's going to keep on lasting. The environment, people are nasty right now. People are not generally kind. Right? If you talk to workers at the convenience store and the gas station and the drive-in, they go, we just meet nasty person after nasty person after nasty person.
No.
It's like the whole world is very defensive, and they're just looking for a reason to bow up. Right? Or to be confrontational. And then you got the other side that's just asking permission. Can I feel this way? Can I say this? Can I do this? Can I be this? And so much confusion. One of the reasons we really stuck out this podcast, especially during this last 2 years, and we started right before this whole thing started, is when we kicked it off just about 6 months prior. I'm like, no, it's more important now than ever, because look around you. Define integrity for me.
Absolutely.
define character for me, and how confusing for the children, how confusing for those growing up and getting out of high school and getting out of college. Right? I mean, if we're any smarter than the day you do graduate from high school, and no dumber than the day you do when you start college, right? It's like, what? Now what? And so there's this, what are they seeing? What do we define them for anymore? You know, right? What would your grandmother say?
Right.
And so I think we've created a problem that didn't have to exist. We had the great resignation where everybody decided it was just easier to quit your job than it was to manage all the demands and all the things they were asking you to do that were outside your box of normal, right? Whatever that was for you. And so we have this, plus the people that, you know, got out of college and went to Manhattan because they thought that was the only place that they could get that job, have learned in the last 2 years that they can in fact do that the very same job from their fishing cabin in Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And so we've just had a change in perception. And so the employees, they're hurting everywhere, but people need to get nicer. You do need to be kind to everyone because you don't know what somebody's day is about.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And I do, and I thank them. You know, when I go up through the drive-through, I'm like, thank you for coming in, you know. But
yeah.
I'm so, you know, I feel sometimes, Stacy, like I'm in the twilight zone. Because I grew up, you know, my first memories in my life are changing my mom's vomit bucket. You know, getting myself to school, you know, being responsible, having to, you know, do a lot of different things, and, you know, worked as soon as I could work. I had a paper route. I was, you know, like, I just don't understand it. I don't understand this generation, I guess, you know, and so it blows me away because I'll be talking to kids, and in our company, you know, the industry I'm in is a utility company, you know, we get these kids that start you know, they go to training, it's all, you know, in on the books and stuff, and then they go out in the field one day and they quit. And it's like, I don't know what's, you know, I feel like there's like this, I'm scared. I'm scared of what I'm seeing, you know, and so I guess it all comes back to this stuff about being positive and trying to, you know, encourage people and trying to get people thinking, you know, and that's, But I just wanted to get your take on it because I'm like, I don't know, being that you worked in something that's kind of, I suppose it had to be frustrating in that industry when you were working in it, you know, seeing what you were seeing, you know. And
it is frustrating. I mean, we don't have a healthcare system. We have a sick care system. It needs to be reevaluated so that it benefits people the most, right? They're going to face a mental health crisis in the next 5 years that will be probably unprecedented as people begin to come back out of recover, go back to work, right? Things begin to change because there was a lot of unaddressed mental health for a minute. You know, in the mental health agencies shut down. You couldn't get counseling. You couldn't go to therapy. You could talk to somebody online maybe and get your meds in the mail, right? But you didn't have that support. Families fell apart, domestic violence, drug abuse
increased,
relapse, child abuse, skyrocket.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, how many kids was their only safe place to go was school? They got to eat twice, and nobody hurt them. Then all of a sudden, they didn't get to go there, right?
Yeah.
The wife or the husband who that 8 hours while their partner was at work was the only peace they had.
Yeah.
Right? How many parents did you see freak out on social media because they had no idea how to be around their children?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Right? Didn't know who they were. They hadn't spent 40 hours with them since they put them in kindergarten. And so we were talking the other day, Adam, and how many times in your life do you think you've heard hindsight is 20/20?
Right.
Like a gazillion?
Yeah.
Right? All your life you go, well, hindsight's 20/20, right? If we'd only known back then. We're the only people in the world ever on the face of this earth that lived 20/20. What's your hindsight?
Yeah.
20/20 changed our world. It changed everything that was normal for all of us.
Yeah.
In some way or another.
It's that reset or whatever they would talk about, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's like a reset.
2020?
Yeah.
You had a chance to reset then. Was it your family, your job, your career, your own mental health? Right? What was it? And we had an opportunity to find out what we'd not been seeing for a long time. And if we could just carry onward, what we learned in 2020, now we have a whole different perception for hindsight of 2020.
Well, Stacy, thank you so much for taking the time today to talk to me. And give me one more time. Give us those plugs again, your social media plugs.
Absolutely. Stacy Owen Johnston on Facebook. And somebody told me the other day that it wasn't letting people request me as a friend on Facebook. And so I'm going to go in tonight and work on that and change that. I don't even know how, but I have a millennial child that can help me. So I'm going to learn how to change my settings so that I'm open to that. Please reach out there. If you want to be on our podcast, if you want to talk to us, if you want to banter a conversation, or you just need somebody to talk to, reach out to us, herobuilder2020@gmail.com. We would love to have a conversation with you. We are open and everyone is welcome. And I'm always around. I'm always somewhere. And if I can help you in some way, if I can serve you or yours, if I can help you write that story for your legacy, let me know. I'm always available.
Well, thank you so much, Stacy, and we will be talking to you again soon. Everybody check Uncaped Heroes podcast. What's the other podcast?
Midweek Mind Candy.
Midweek Mind Candy, and you can just go on, if you just go on Google and type in Stacy Owen Johnston, it'll bring up, it brings up a few different links, but I will post some links in the description box here. And then the book is available on Amazon. Where else is it available?
I think it's at Barnes & Noble. I think you can get it at Target and at Walmart. We always go to Amazon to get it. It's probably the best place. It's probably the least expensive place to get it. Is on Amazon.
Yeah, and it's a digital download, so it's quick. And
you know what? I'll tell you this. I've got about 10 copies at my house. So the first 10 people, or if we get 10 people that reach out to us through this podcast, they'll get a free autographed copy.
All right, so straight out of Plainview, you guys need to get with it. This is the other question I forgot to ask you here. Is this book really meant more for women, or is it tailored towards women?
Well, the market's probably going to be, it's probably going to draw more women because it's written by 16 women, And so I'm going to say that the market is out there, but I think it's really for anybody. I mean, I think we all get to a place in our life when we sit up one day and go, is this it?
Yeah.
Right, and when you finally get to that place and you take that step and you quit dancing to their dance and you listen to your very own song, right? Have you ever been driving down the highway, Adam, listening to your favorite song on the radio? Radio's cranked. You're the absolute best singer on the planet right then.
Right.
Got the one-man concert going on, yeah? And you hit that white noise, that static in your song, and you have a choice to make right then. You can either change the station, find a different song, or you can just keep singing. Because in a minute, the white noise is going to go away, and you're going to be right on time because you know the song. Correct?
Right.
Same thing is true about your life. And if you know your song, who are you? Right? What are you for? What's your thing? What's your why? Then you can keep singing your song. And conflict, it's just white noise in your song.
I know that's right.
Right? So I think the book is for anybody that wants to know it's okay to get to that moment. Right? There's lots of different stories. People took lots of different journeys.
Yeah. All right, Stacy, thank you so much. I will not keep you anymore because it's getting late, and I'm sure we've been talking 53 minutes now, so I want to thank you so much for taking this time with me, and we will talk again soon.
Thank you so much for your time, Adam. I sure do appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you, Stacy. You have a wonderful evening.
You as well.
And we'll talk to you soon. Bye.